I'm Representative Jonathan Brostoff, and I am thrilled to be here among such great community leaders and elected representatives from our state. This is about a really important bill for deaf licensing and interpreting in Wisconsin, and this bill is, in its essence, boiled down to three simple things. This is about access, this is about accountability, and this is about getting people back to work. Access, accountability, and getting people back to work. And I am very honored to have a lot of wonderful leaders with us today who are going to speak on it, so therefore I'm not going to take too much time, and I want to make sure that we get a chance to introduce everyone, have them say their piece, and then at the end I'm going to read a quick statement from Senator Testin, who is the Senate lead on this, and after that we'll wrap up. If there are any questions from the media or anyone, we'll take those at the end. So again, thank you all very much for being here. Thank you all very much for helping to create this great bill, and I'm excited about LRB 4250, and we will start off by having Katie Voss, who is a representative from WAD, the Wisconsin Association for the Deaf, and who's also just an amazing advocate and has been outspoken on this process from the very beginning, and who will share her thoughts with us today. So thank you very much, Katie.
Thank you. Good morning. My name is Katie Voss. I grew up deaf, from a deaf family, and I'm very proud to be deaf. This week, we are celebrating Deaf Awareness Week. And I'm not sure if you're aware that this is key to outreach for individuals to understand what deaf culture is all about. This week, we honor our history, and we educate about the barriers and challenges that we face in our everyday life. So here in Wisconsin, we're celebrating Deaf Awareness Week Wisconsin. So thank you for being present today. Today's bill that we are talking about represents interpreter licensure law. Unfortunately, there are many loopholes in our current bill using unqualified interpreters, where situations go awry because of unqualified interpreters. And then there's no accountability for those interpreters who are working unethically. I use interpreters frequently in my everyday life. In my employment, when I go to the doctor's office, anything that I access in the community. If I want to go to a performance, a play, I need to have an interpreter so that I can have equal access to everything that is being shared around me. I want to prevent those barriers from coming. This current license affords more teeth, more grit to the bill, makes it stronger, so that we can have equal access for those who are deaf and hearing to have access to the world. We want to have access to qualified interpreters, specialty interpreters for legal, mental health, and medical settings. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you for sharing. And next up, we're going to have Cookie Roing, who has been an amazing advocate for years and has served on the task force with me for sign language interpreting licensure initially, and kind of helped get the ball rolling on the blueprints for the language for this legislation. So thank you very much, Cookie.
Hello. I grew up in a family that has hereditary deafness. I have two daughters who are also deaf. I've experienced a lot of situations where I'm accessing unqualified interpreters. One thing that happened to me recently, I would like to share with you. I didn't have access at all. We went to an audiology appointment. I had my two daughters with me who are both deaf, and they used video remote interpreting. So the interpreter is on a screen, and the interpreter is not in Wisconsin. That interpreter doesn't have Wisconsin licensure or any credential, or what credentials they have. We had internet problems, connectivity problems, so we had difficult accessing the interpreter. As a deaf adult and my 2 deaf daughters, in that situation, we lost internet access. We had no access to the interpreter. Therefore, we had no access to what was happening during the appointment. It's important for my daughters as they grow up that they have access to qualified interpreters in the state of Wisconsin and people of all ages. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing, Cookie. And next up, we're going to have Stephanie Zito, who has been a real lioness on this, especially for the interpreting community, and has done a great job of not only representing the interpreting community, but has put a lot of elbow grease into getting the exact language that we've needed. And it's also been participating in the task force from its inception. It is now continuing to head up those efforts. And we'll be here speaking on behalf of the interpreting community in Wisconsin. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Brostoff. As a professional interpreter, since the passing of this initial license, a lot has changed in the interpreting field. We are still growing and evolutionizing and professionalizing fields. So to keep up with those changes, our law needs to have that ability and flexibility. Unfortunately, the current licensure law is outdated. However, we've included ways in the proposed law that can be responsive to those changes in the future, as well as strengthening protections from fraudulent and unethical behavior for our consumers. 7 years ago, with the passing of the initial license, we couldn't have predicted how much the field could impact and restrict interpreters from working in our state. So the new law is going to get interpreters back to work and improves how we match an interpreter's knowledge and skill level in critical settings such as legal, mental health, medical settings. Access, accountability, back to work. Those are the 3 points that we are trying to improve with this new law. And as Cookie mentioned, for example, many states and their minimum standards or regulations for interpreters vary. So we want to ensure that Wisconsin residents have qualified and have the high expectation and standards that the interpreting field expects. So we want to ensure that no matter where you are and you're receiving interpreting services, that you are getting qualified interpreters that match that setting. So we look forward to your support of this LRB 4250.
Thank you very much. And our last community member who will be speaking on this at our office, but is also a certified deaf interpreter herself and a fantastic advocate on behalf of these issues. And she's also been working on the task force to make sure that the language was written correctly and was responsive to the needs of the community. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Representative Brostoff. The deaf, hard of hearing, and deaf-blind community need your support for this bill. Like Ms. Stephanie Zito said, this is to elevate our standards of quality interpreting services in the state of Wisconsin. Let me provide you an example. In Africa, they had a person interpret for President Obama's speech. That person was not a trained interpreter, had no fluency in the language, and what does that represent to our community? When we think about other situations, medical appointments, somebody's going in for surgery, as somebody comes in, as a doctor comes in and talks to you about what is going to happen, you want to know. If the doctor has a specialty as an ear, nose, and throat doctor, you want to make sure that you understand everything that's going to be happening in the procedure. Likewise with interpreters. They also have credentials, need to have credentials, like our physicians. Because working in these situations that are high risk, like mental health and legal settings, working with individuals of all ages for young adults all the way to children and adults, we need to make sure that they're providing accurate interpretation so people are using the right medication, getting the right treatment plan. If there's a child custody case happening in a courtroom, and the end result realizes that their kids are going to be taken away from them, and they didn't understand what was happening in the entire process, because they may not have had a qualified interpreter that understood legal terminology in that setting. The impacts are serious for deaf people and their lives, especially for mental health, legal, and medical settings. For their safety, we need to pass this law. For public safety, for events that happen on a national level, national disasters, we need to have access for our deaf, hard of hearing, and deaf-blind community to have safety and access to high quality of life. So we ask for you to support our bill, LRB 4250. And at this time, we're asking for your attention in this matter, and please support this bill. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we're going to get to the point where we have our elected officials who are going to speak. And I think there's a lot of meetings going on today. I know there's a lot of people who would like to be here, and there's overlap. But I think we have all the electeds that are going to be joining us, so I want to give a quick shout out to them. So we have Representative Bowen, Representative Spreitzer, Representative Reamer, Representative Kleefisch, Representative Vorpagel, Representative Holste, and Representative Skronsky. So I want to thank them very much for their support. I know there are many others who are signed on to the bill who would like to be here with us, but there's a lot of overlapping activities. So I want to start off this kind of section by welcoming Representative Skronsky to speak on this. Without his office, this really wouldn't be possible. Not only has he been a great ally on this issue and advocate for the deaf community, but him and his office have been integral in helping us create the second Deaf Lobby Day for the state, as well as many other important issues for the community. And like I said, he's been just a fantastic partner on this as well. So I really want to thank Representative Skronsky for his work.
Yeah.
And,
Oh, thank you, Senator. Thank you, Representative. It's my pleasure really to be here to help and support the deaf. I have a little closer attachment to the deaf because I have a very good friend, husband and wife, that are deaf instructors of the deaf people. They also have a grown-up daughter that is a librarian that has a job and is the interpreter for the library in the deaf. So I'm very proud to be part of this, and I support this 100%. Representative Groshoff and the rest of the representatives here are very strong in order to help out and to make sure that this particular law gets passed. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And we also have Representative Kleefisch with us today, who I just have to say, we've partnered on other bills, and he's been great on that. But one day I was here, actually, it might have even been in this room, and he took me aside. He said, "Hey, you work on deaf issues. What's going on with licensing? When are we getting that update?" And I said, I should have came to you. He said, "Absolutely. Let's get this done. Let's make sure it happens. This is a priority of mine. I'm passionate about it, and let's get it done." So through, I think, Representative Kleefisch's passion, work ethic, and interest in advocating for the community, I do think that we're going to have broad bipartisan support. This will be successful, and I really appreciate his efforts in it. So thank you very much, Representative.
My pleasure. Thanks, Jonathan. I appreciate it very much. Sometimes in this building, I'm known for my hyperbolic nature. But I want to tell you, this is long overdue. We are talking about the difference in some cases of life and death. Life and death of someone accused of a crime. Life and death of someone who needs an interpretation on their cancer diagnosis. As former chair of the Criminal Justice Committee, we want to make sure someone who's innocent goes free just as much as we want to make sure someone who's guilty stays in prison. Someone who isn't interpreting correctly may be overturned on an appeal because of that interpretation. Guess what we did with this bill? Imagine that. We went to the deaf community to ask them to help us put this together. That is why this is going to make a difference. And we're going to make sure civil and criminal justices are carried out, and those people who are deaf and hard of hearing will know the diagnoses they're getting, and they'll know the prescriptions they're trying to take. So thank you for going out on a limb. Thank you for coming to us and shaking us and telling us it's about time we have something in place that actually cares and works for the deaf community.
All right, thank you. I think we should have a round of applause after that. Thank you very much, Representative Kleefisch, and I also wanted to say that our Senate lead on this, Senator Teston, had a scheduling conflict before we scheduled this event, so he's not able to be here, but I did want to read a brief statement that he provided for today in his absence. So Senator Teston says, Wisconsin's deaf community is diverse and its members have different needs. This bill, which we developed in cooperation with our deaf constituents, acknowledges that one size does not fit all, and by making these changes to interpreter licensing, we're ensuring that all Wisconsinites have a voice and are able to communicate. So we want to really thank Senator Teston for his leadership on this as well, and you know, that's pretty much all we got for it. Like I said, this is something that has to do with access, with accountability, and with providing people the opportunity to get back to work in Wisconsin. This is long overdue. Every day we wait for this, we're losing more access. More people are out of work. I believe we have 28 currently. So this is time sensitive, and I'm just so thankful to have the honor of my colleagues' broad bipartisan support on this, and I'm excited to be able to get it past this session. And I want to thank all of you for being here with us today, and absolutely thank you to the community members who are here and those who are not. And I also want to give one quick shout out to Katie Schmidt, who's the president of the Wisconsin Association of the Deaf, who could not be with us here today because of a scheduling conflict, but we really appreciate all her leadership and effort on this. So happy Deaf Awareness Week. Let's get it done. Thank you very much. And if there are any questions, you know, we're happy to take those from any media or audience members. And if not, great. Thank you very much.